I'll show you how it's done. Shazam!
Hey, what's going on, YouTube community? Welcome to our channel here at Underdeveloped, where we review movies, we react, and we discuss films and shows. You know what I mean? So catch all our content, and we all gonna be delving into some books for the future trade, the second and third trade of Sandman, and some other novels. So it's like we're gonna and games too. So we're gonna be branching out, of course.
I still need to start writing the script for that game review.
Yeah,
I'll be starting that soon.
So you know what I mean. Content is coming, you know what I mean, other than just, you know, movies and shows.
Yeah.
Even though that's still most of it.
That's still our priority.
And of course, podcasts. We gotta get back on it. We have to go. We have the other podcasts already written, like the ideas, right?
Do we? What's that? What's the next idea for our podcast?
I don't remember. So I'm asking because
I know we have
a spreadsheet.
I know. Yeah, we have a document. We can look at that some other time.
And it's all there, right?
Well, yeah, everything we have is in the document.
All right, cool. Yeah, cool. So we gotta try. We gotta start plotting the next one.
That we do.
So today we have a movie review for you for the movie The Accountant 2 or This Accountant 2. With starring yet again Ben Affleck as the accountant, Christian Wolff, and Jon Bernthal also reprises his role.
Yes, so The Accountant 2 is is a very, very convoluted story about a mystery involving human trafficking that requires Marybeth from the first movie to go contact the accountant so they actually meet for the first time, finally. And then, of course, the accountant Ben Affleck, he feels the need to contact his brother because he can use some help. And the whole movie basically just becomes a kind of sort of bonding between the two brothers. They bicker, they have fun, they go through all these things. And in the meantime, there's also this other mystery about this blonde woman who was the last person to see J.K. Simmons alive, and they eventually do solve that, and of course that ties into the human trafficking thing also, and there's also an autistic kid, which ends up being her kid, and it's basically a whole big thing leading up to this one big action set piece, and that is more or less Accountant 2.
Yep, that is the summarization of the movie. All right, let's get into what we think. Okay, so The Accountant came out in 2016. I liked the first Accountant. You know, I thought it was just cool. You know, it's kind of like a lot of action movies with intriguing lead with maybe he has like this huge like skill, this sharp skill that he can use to weaponize at any moment. You know what I mean? At the convenience of the plot. And, of course, this was, you know what I mean, accountant, very smart with math. Ben Affleck's playing the kind of character that he usually wouldn't play. He's a little more laid back, chill, cool. You know what I'm saying? Mostly, I mean, he's ventured out, but that's mostly this stereotype. He's never usually like this, like, really uptight, tightly wound, you know what I mean, autistic person. That's not really, his range usually doesn't go into that level.
Yeah, he doesn't he doesn't, like, challenge himself like that very often.
Yeah, that's not really his. Like, that was his personality type. It wouldn't be that, but it's not. It's kind of the opposite. So it's like, he doesn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously the other actors are the opposite, but they do enough range where I'm like, okay, I can see that because he's a variety of different kind of roles with various different personalities.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of,
Christian Bale could do it, then they lose because they chameleons. They effectively do very different characters.
But most actors very much kind of play themselves almost oftentimes.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Especially in movies, because that's the whole point. It's branding.
Yeah.
Like, the idea of movies is not really the actor's medium, as what Denzel said. It's the filmmaker's medium. So, you know what I mean? Like, if you, as an actor in the film world, you know what I mean? It's okay to be more of a brand. And then film is, unlike Broadway or whatever else, it's more like a marketing tool.
Yeah, like, if that brand works for that character, then that should honestly just be fine.
Yeah, because then we know, okay, that's going to bring in an audience, and because he makes this work.
Yeah.
That's what resonates with people, you know what I'm saying?
As long as it's not a bad fit, then it should work for the movie as well, on top of that. Yes.
You will go on a service, but also be as good as you can be.
Yeah.
But often those lines get blurred in Hollywood.
They often do.
Yeah, but overall, even with those kind of cliches in Accountant, I mean, I still thought it was good. I still thought Ben Affleck delivered as best he could. I like Jon Bernthal, of course, he's the man. And led to a good revelation that these two brothers been kind of working the same case and trying to kill each other. or like like in each other's way, not really know who's who. That was a cool full circle moment at the end of that movie. Explored also their parent, their dad in the past, childhood trauma and all that shit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought the first movie was a pretty solid flick, nothing too crazy, but decent enough where I don't mind the sequel at all. And we got the sequel, and I could say I'll say sequel is even better than the first one because certain aspects of this movie I really like one of the main characters that's also in the last movie, Marybeth Medina, who worked with J.K. Simmons' character a lot in the first movie. Like, I liked the idea that she, they probably should have fleshed this out more. I liked the idea that she really wanted to do things more by the book and not want to delve into Braxton and Christian's very brutal methods to getting information and getting what they need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just different people working to achieve good, I guess. You know what I mean? And she kind of stuck to her word, you know what I mean? And we get to see her go through more hoops, you know what I mean? That's going to be hoops, and I thought that idea itself, that concept alone is very interesting. So that's one good thing that they brought up. And the next thing is just, John character and Ben Affleck's character, them bonding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Them actually, because the whole thing was that the first movie, that I didn't see you mad long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then again, at the end, they go very long without seeing each other. So it's like, they really get the chance to really connect. And there's one scene where Jon Bernthal really because he's this tough guy who kills people in this Jason Statham-ass kind of dude. Mm-hmm. But then he has this real vulnerable baby moment. He has this real vulnerable moment with his brother, who essentially kind of turns into, he melts like a baby almost. You know what I mean? It's like, where's this confident, powerful, badass guy at? Where's Jon Bernthal at? You know what I mean? But I thought it was kind of forced at first due to the performance. But when I thought about it, it's very real and raw. You know what I mean? And it's moments like that, and I felt really, made the film meaningful. Especially when one of my favorite scenes is them going into the bar and Christian's character kind of gets out of his shell and dancing with the chick that he meets. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's a contrast to the very first scene where he was on this speed dating thing. He was doing evaluation, so it wasn't like he was kind of on work, but he still was going on these mini dates, and the women really wanted him because obviously he was a good-looking dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking Ben Affleck.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And as he was, and there's no competition really there. You know what I mean? So these desert housewives, they wanted to go in and try to mac, but then he fucked up because the shit he says. You know what I mean? Because of his weird idiosyncrasies, because of his
he lets too much of his autism show.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And of course, that's not bad impressions. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, dope.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, saying that, so with that, he eventually was just left alone while the much worse looking guys were getting the same dates,
Yeah.
So for him to go back to that moment and he actually built a connection with this person, he kind of stumbles a little bit. He kind of goes back and rectifies it and have a good time beating, some of the dudes' asses in that club. I thought this was a real sweet moment. And then he had a bear on top of the fucking trailer home, you know what I mean? All that stuff was very sweet, very touching, and it showed good chemistry and relationship between Jon Bernthal and Ben Affleck as these characters together. The chemistry was really there, and I felt the movie coasted on things that they could have really, that could have been the movie instead, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even him doing a speed date thing, autistic guy valuing speed dates,
even that was done pretty funnily.
Exactly.
To be perfectly honest.
So it was the movie in total, you know what I mean? Probably not the greatest, but these individual aspects and scenes were actually done pretty fucking well. You know what I mean?
I completely agree.
You know what I mean? Good bonding moments, good genuine bonding moments between Jon Bernthal and Ben Affleck. A decent plot, decent goal to rescue this person that reminds him of himself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Listen to his brother do it, and then getting involved with professional agencies. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to get at here. There's a lot of different things going on that will keep you interested in this movie.
Yeah,
I feel.
I mostly agree with that. I'm not super crazy about the overall plot. I think it's a little too convoluted for its own good. It's kind of hard to be invested in it. Really, the only real emotional, the only parts of the movie that were taken seriously that I actually really enjoyed were the relationship between Ben Affleck and his brother. Him and Bernthal work well together. They're great foils for each other, and again, their shared drama and them actually working together to try and get closer to each other. That was the only part I really felt emotionally out of me. It was easily my favorite part of both these movies because I was a lot more harsh on the first movie than you were. I thought it was a boring, generic 2010s action movie that relied too much on autistic stereotypes, but the sequel, I think it takes a step above that because it's willing to let Ben Affleck's character grow a bit, because you do see some scenes where he's willing to change for his brother. Like, he knows how his brother really hated that he didn't want to spend time with him, and that he really hated that he never said thank you. But now but by the end of the movie, you actively see him making efforts to make plans with his brother and to say thank you for things that that Jon Bernthal should really feel appreciated for.
And it's a full circle moment because that's what Medina said to him. That's what other people said to him in the movie.
Yeah.
So that a perfect, circle back.
Exactly. Like, it's not a super dramatic change, but it's a slow, kind of realistic change that really makes you feel the bond. Really makes the bond between him and his brother feel very real, and I love that a lot.
And to me, like the main plot wasn't really the goal line.
Nah.
It was that.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna see this movie, then you should absolutely see it because you want to see Affleck and Bernthal, 100%.
Yep.
It's the highlight of the movie, hands down.
Agreed. Yeah. All right. So, anything left to say?
Not for me. How about you?
No, I think we're good here. Yeah, let's get to scores. I'm looking at 70.
Honestly, that was the exact number I've been thinking of like this entire time.
Yeah,
70.
Like I mean, it could be
straight
higher.
70.
Like, it could be higher, but as I said, the movie still with that is still like okay.
Yeah, movie still has some pretty boring moments. The plot is a little overly complicated and convoluted, and there are some characters that really they don't do enough with. Yeah. Like, seriously, like Daniella Pineda's character is barely a thing in this movie. I feel like.
I hate choosing characters to not make them be a thing.
Yeah. So overall, overall, in spite of the movie having some pretty big flaws, I still think there is some good here, and I can definitely recommend if you're looking for an action movie this weekend in theaters.
Quite a few, because I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely better than The Amateur. Don't see The Amateur. See this instead if you're considering seeing The Amateur. And that's the only time we'll talk about The Amateur this year, probably.
I mean, I like Ari Malik, but that movie was even worse. That movie was boring, dude.
Yes.
Boring.
That was, oh my God.
Straight snooze fest.
Yeah.
Be honest. That's when the worst thing you could be, too, is boring, dude.
Exactly. At least throughout this movie, I was only bored like a couple times during the first 40 minutes. But after that, I was pretty invested throughout the rest of the accountant, too. The Amateur, man. Oh.
Yeah, not the same.
Yeah,
this is definitely better for sure.
Yeah, support this movie, not that one.
I agree. You watched the first account, you liked it. I'll say give this a shot because it's even better.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Anyways, let us know what you think about the accountant movies down in the comments below, and make sure to hit the like, subscribe button. Keep your eye out for the next video, folks.
Yep. See you guys later.